Welcome back, guys. I'm looking to reach 1,000 subs. Support me by clicking the subscribe button.
The Vikings just signed the most dangerous name in the NFL, and the entire league has no idea what's coming. Stop whatever you are doing right now. Seriously, put the phone down, pause whatever else is playing in the background, and give me your full, undivided attention for the next few minutes, because the Minnesota Vikings just did something that the rest of the NFL is sleeping on so hard it should be considered a public health emergency. While everybody was busy dissecting first-round picks and arguing about draft grades and debating which team won or lost the offseason, the Minnesota Vikings quietly, almost sneakily, slid a contract across the table and put their signature on a player whose name alone sounds like it was custom-built inside a laboratory designed exclusively to produce the most terrifying defensive lineman in professional football. His name is Smith Vilbert. Go ahead. Say it out loud. Smith Vilbert. Let those two words sit in the air for a moment and tell me they do not sound like a man who was put on this earth with one singular, laser-focused purpose: to ruin the days of offensive linemen and send quarterbacks to bed with nightmares. Because they absolutely do. Now, before you close this video and file this under another undrafted nobody who will be bagging groceries by October, you need to pump every single break you have access to right now. Because if you have been following this Vikings franchise for any length of time, if you have been paying even the faintest amount of attention to how this organization has operated under its current leadership group, you already know that what looks like a quiet, unremarkable roster move in Minnesota has a very particular and very documented habit of turning into something that the rest of the league ends up wishing they had seen coming. The Vikings do not sign players by accident. They do not invite bodies to minicamp just to fill up space on a practice field. When Minnesota sees something worth chasing, they move on it. And they moved on Smith Vilbert. This is the complete, full, hold-nothing-back story of who Smith Vilbert is, where he came from, what he brings to one of the most interesting and most talented defensive line rooms in the entire NFL, and exactly why this signing, which most of the football world either missed entirely or dismissed with a quick scroll past, might be one of the more quietly significant things the Minnesota Vikings have done this entire offseason. So settle in, because we are going deep. Let us start at the very beginning, because the beginning of this story is actually the most revealing part of it. Smith Vilbert was one of those players who sat through the entire 2026 NFL draft weekend without hearing his name called. Every round went by. Every pick was announced. And Smith Vilbert's phone did not ring with the news he had spent 6 years of his life working toward. Olympics. For most people who have never experienced the particular emotional devastation of that moment, it is difficult to fully appreciate what it feels like. You have played college football since you were a teenager. You have put your body through things that would break ordinary people. You have spent half a decade building toward a single moment, and then that moment arrives, and the entire league says no. Collectively, in unison, 32 franchises with hundreds of scouts and analysts and coaches and general managers and salary cap experts all looked at the file and said pass. Not yet. Not you. That is the moment that defines who a player really is. Not the highlight reels. Not the combined measurements. Not the press clippings. The moment when the world tells you no and you have to decide what you are going to do next. And what Smith Vilbert did next is exactly what you hope for and rarely see in a player who has just been handed that kind of rejection. He showed up to the Minnesota Vikings rookie minicamp as a tryout player, not a drafted prospect with a signing bonus already in his account, not an undrafted free agent with a contract already negotiated and waiting. A tryout player, Olympics, one of 21 hopefuls who had been invited to come to the practice facility in Eagan, Minnesota, get on the field in front of the coaching staff, and prove in real time that the 32 teams who passed on them had made a mistake. The drafted guys are there. The undrafted free agents who already have deals in hand are there. And then there are the tryout players, the ones at the absolute bottom of the roster hierarchy, competing with the most to prove and the least amount of security beneath their feet. No contract, no guarantee, no promise that any of this weekend is going to amount to anything more than a memory. Smith Vilbert walked onto that practice field in Eagan and proceeded to make the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff sit up straight in their chairs and start paying very close attention. By the time the minicamp weekend was barely underway, The Vikings had seen enough to make their decision. They believed they had found a diamond in the rough, and they moved swiftly, agreeing to sign Vilbert to a 3-year contract before the weekend had even fully wrapped up. Yahoo Sports, his agent, Brett Tesler, did not waste any time letting the football world know what had just happened, posting on social media that the Minnesota Vikings had just signed his client Smith Vilbert, a defensive lineman out of Penn State in North Carolina, to a 3-year deal after attending their rookie minicamp that weekend. A 3-year deal, not a futures contract, not a week-to-week arrangement. A 3-year commitment from a franchise that does not make those kinds of decisions lightly or carelessly.
Welcome back, guys. I'm looking to reach 1,000 subs. Support me by clicking the subscribe button.